Hello there, this is Nikolai, the manga boomer.
And I am Kai, the anime zoomer. And this is our podcast, Anime Zoomer.
And manga boomer. In this episode, we will each create two ultimate anime or manga. To achieve this feat, we will take already existing attributes from shows and mix them together to create a hypothetical show in our favorite genre. Examples are art and animation, characters like protag, villains, a setting, voice acting and music, plot, endings, character relationships, comedy, brutality, power systems, action, and whatever else we want to use. And we have a rule: we can only use one aspect from a show per creation. So, for example, we can't use One Piece twice in one creation, but we can use One Piece one time in our two creations. So, my first show is a fantasy show, seinen. I've drawn some inspiration from Witched Atelier. It should be a high fantasy series where magic is really important and plays an important role in every person's life. Like, for example, when you have magical devices who help people do fieldwork or something, where the tools are floating in the air. And in Witched, and like in Witched Atelier, everybody can use magic in theory, but this fact is kept a secret, and only a select few can use this magic. To achieve this, I need a power system where everybody could use magic in theory, like inscribing runes on something. And keeping the magic, that the fact that the magic is kept secret is an important plot point. So, you could also, if you want to ask something, feel free to ask. The next point is something for you. It's action and fights. Because we don't want to make a boring show. Because Witchhead does not have a lot of action. But my show should have some magic battles. And with a complex magic system, I would like to have fights similar to JoJo's, where the effects that the magic spells have needs to be creative, like the stance at JoJo's. And some out-of-the-box thinking is required to achieve solutions or victories in battles. I think that's one of the biggest strengths in JoJo's.
Yes, it is.
Especially in the newer parts, because in the beginning the stands were kind of basic and they're getting more and more creative and wilder. The next part is brutality and atmosphere. You know me, I like my brutal seinen, so this needs to be. I would like to have a dark and rough world, like Dore is a good example, or from Witch and the Beast, an upcoming arc that you don't know. It's a arc about vampires. Do you know Bloodborne, kind of a setting from the game?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
basically a Bloodborne setting in this arc.
Okay.
It's the best
Okay.
arc in the series. And like in Doro, for example, the magic users bully the non-magicians and conduct terrible experiments on them. And the magicians have a point of power through magic. That's why they want to keep magic a secret, so that they have this power and can abuse it. So you have, like it's typical in some series like those, you have spells that can erase memories. Like the most famous example is Men in Black, not an anime, but very widely known.
Yeah.
And other people want to keep magic a secret because when people have tools like guns or other weapons, there are going to be more wars, and this magic can be used like like guns and tools for wars.
Okay, I see.
Then the next point is the artwork. One of the most important things for mangas. For the artwork, I have a few options, depending on depending on what I choose for the other points. Obviously, if I want to have a dark and brutal world, Dora would be perfect. but I'm using it already for the atmosphere, so maybe not.
Hmm.
Another alternative is Witch and the Beast, or Shinichi Sakamoto's DRCL. Because I'm maybe using DRCL in the later part, I am sticking with Witch and the Beast. But if you want to have magic and a special magical artwork, DRCL is the best that you can have. But it's taken for later. Do you know an anime that could fit this criteria? Because I think magical stuff is mostly better portrayed in anime. Because it's hard
Hmm.
to depict some great magic in anime because CGI has to be used at times.
Hmm. I think Mushoku has some pretty good magic.
True. Great example.
Hmm.
I forgot about that one.
Mushoku magic looks pretty good for me.
Yes. W take. So, on to the next part. The characters. I want to start with a villain and with a person that you know. The first villain should be from some kind of agency where their goal is to control magic and keep it a secret. And if you want to control something, and I think there's a great villain for that kind. It's Makima.
Hmm.
So that should be the first villain. A calculative, manipulative, ruthless villain. He uses magic
True.
to have an influence on people's minds and get done what needs to be done and get their way. And like Makima, this person has seen some things in the past. Like when Makima saw, for example, World War II. And that's why they want to keep magic a secret, because they saw what bad things can happen with unregulated magic.
Hmm.
And because of this, there's kind of a strict inquisition. Everybody uses magic unregulated needs to be punished and needs to be executed. It will be a huge point of conflict in the story. A
I
second
see.
kind of villain. Sorry, I don't want to
Hmm?
interrupt. I interrupted you. Sorry.
No, no, I just commented.
Yes. The second villain is a force of nature villain, an unpredictable force where you don't know what's going to happen next. Great examples are Dracula from DRCL or Sato from Argent. Because I kind of like those villains, the crazy guys where you always on the edge of his seat and don't know what will the guy do. Maybe this guy can or wants to ascend to some kind of godhood, like Doflamingo who wants to get back to Mary Jean in the end. Maybe that could be some kind of plot.
Hmm.
Who knows? Now, onto the main characters. This will be surprising what kind of main character I want to use because it's from a show that I don't like. But to start, the magic is taught through a school system. And when the people are becoming young adults, they travel together in teams with, like in shonens, we have a teacher and three students. So I'm now going to describe the three students and the teacher. So the teacher-student relationship is also important.
Hmm.
And the main character is Satoru Fraud, but actually a good version. Because I still like about Goto's character, he is one of the most powerful people, but can't do anything against the system. I really like this aspect because, yes, he's strong enough to murder everyone, but would this fulfill his cause to bring change to the system, to the world? No. So I want to have a strong teacher as well, who tries to bring change in teaching his students the right way to use magic. I think that's an underrated aspect of Gojo because everybody thinks, oh, he's cool, he's hot, he's the strongest.
Hmm.
But I think that's actually good writing there. But we both know what happened, and we will watch and see.
Mm.
So, the first pupil is someone that you know and like. It's a kind of Luffy esque protagonist.
Mm.
Someone who wants to use magic free and is against the suppression of magic. I think this person should also have the same spirit like Luffy. Kinda dumb natural prodigy who tries to be happy in a bleak and dark world and who wants to fulfill his dreams and desires. Freedom is very important for this person. The second pupil is some kinda an heir from an important wizard family who is not that good at wizardry. I think you know a good example from Black Clover as well.
Mm.
I really like character when they are from an important family and need to struggle with the expectations that their bloodline has, but are not good at it. I think that's an interesting and suspenseful plot. And for the last character, I want to use a character like Thorfinn,
Mm.
someone who has done very bad things with magic and changed his way, and now tries to bring peace and makes tries to make the world a better place because he has now no enemies. And this change
Yes.
that he has now no enemies is is developed in a really sad flashback that we are going to see with him and the teacher. Now, for the last point I have is the plot. For a plot, I want to take inspiration from Frieren, where we have a loose plot where we are traveling around, helping people with their necessary life, using magic to help them, and learning how to use magic.
Mm.
And on this travel, we will interact with the people who hate magic because they're getting experimented on, lost something through magic, and the people who love magic because it helps them in their daily life. And that's it for this presentation.
Crazy.
Would you watch that show?
It sounds interesting. Yeah, yeah. It does sound really interesting to watch, actually.
And one last thing I forgot, if there are monsters in this show or world, monster design should be like Claymore. That's the
Mm,
last point
okay.
I have. Then you can go on with your one.
So for my show, the genre would be obviously the shonen, battle shonen category.
A classic.
Yes. So for the first step, I want to have a nice world building like One Piece, because One Piece has maybe the best world building in anime history, I would say. Do you think so?
It's up there. At least for Shonen. You can
Mm?
say that it's one of the best.
Yes, because the worlds of One Piece are like real big. I don't know how to explain it, but the words are pretty well made. Everything in the writing is really nice.
I like the writing aspect because of the connections that the things have. Because a big world is, per se, not great world building, but
Mm.
how the ice, how the islands and the characters on those islands are connected, how some characters are meeting in.
Yes.
That's nice. Or how something is foreshadowed that plays a huge role later,
Mm.
and how the world is getting bigger and more complex.
Definitely. One
I think
Piece is.
that's the
Mm?
sorry.
No, you can go ahead.
I I kind of don't like One Piece post TypeScript, but aspect where One Piece shines post TypeScript is the world building, where
Mm.
we have those bits and pieces between arcs, like
Definitely.
where fake Shanks met the Gorosei or the Reverie. Those were
Mm.
hype because of world building.
Definitely. And actually, it makes sense now that it's not the real Shanks, because why should Shanks meet the Gorosei? So,
Evil curator Shank's theory. Debunked.
yes. So let's go on. For the action, I would go with Chainsaw Man, which has some pretty solid fights. Like, for example, Chainsaw Man versus Katana Man is a really, really great fight. And there will be much better fights coming on later on in the story.
Yes. I
So,
like to see, especially where Quan Chi fights animated for martial arts stuff.
hmm, I actually have JJK in there because JJK action pre-Shibuya is very good, very enjoyable.
The anime, not the manga.
Yes, the anime. It's very, very good, the action from JJK pre-Shibuya. So I had to
Yes.
include it there.
As an honorable mention.
Hmm. So for the romance aspect, you definitely know what I'm going to choose.
Yes, I think I said it in the end of last episode as an example as
Hmm.
well.
But
It's
yeah,
the character dynamics from Now into Save a Show.
yeah, dun.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, Danadan has some unique romance aspect that wasn't uh, how do I say that's yeah, really unique, and I have never seen in a romance anime.
I mean in a shonen.
Yes, in a shonen.
Yes.
Um, yes, you can definitely how do you say it? You feel the character's love story from Momo and Okarun. It's so real. They are real
It's very
characters.
organic.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yep.
What I also like about Dandadan, it's an actual focus. Because most shonen have just some ship set up that the fans can theorize about it, and in the end there will be some marriages and some relationships, which are never going to be the focus. They are just there to make the fans happy
hmm
or to make the fans angry in case of something like My Hero.
Yes. And I also like to see some war. Love is war. Tease. Yeah, a couple that is constantly fighting over who gets to confess their feelings, like
Some
in
bickering.
Love is War. Actually, a good show for showing of how it also can be in relationships. You want
Yes.
the other to confess, and you try everything that the other person tries to confesses.
Giving someone hints, hoping that they check your hints.
Mm. So Kaguya-sama Love is War is my second pick for romance. A mix of those two would be also great. Yeah, this is for the romance part. And now we are going to the depths with Attack on Titan. The Attack on Titan has one of the deepest stories that I've ever seen in anime. I mean, you can't comprehend because you haven't watched it to the fullest.
Yes, I've only read half of it.
Hmm. It's
But I know the comparison. Many people say it's like the Game of Thrones of anime and mangas.
it's actually a shame that you haven't watched it.
Going to read it at some point.
I hope so.
I mean, I have read half of the series, then I need to finish it. Otherwise, the time I spent with reading half of that series would be wasted.
Hmm. So yeah, Attack on Titan has definitely a very deep story and it's very fascinating. So yeah, for the depths, I will go with Attack on Titan.
Yes, there are also some great plot twists from what I hear and already know from
Yes,
spoilers.
there are. I mean, it should be obvious that Erden is actually the antagonist and the protagonist at the same time. It's obvious. Yeah.
I know the spoiler, but I don't know how we get to this point.
Yeah, it's over the storyline explained, so I'm not going to spoil that.
Yes.
Okay, let's go on to the comedy aspect. And there I picked Konosuba for it, because Konosuba is not a serious anime. In all honesty, it's a parody,
Yes.
and it does its job to make me laugh, so it does have some great comedy. And I want to see something like the Konosuba jokes and stuff that make me laugh in this anime.
I think what is great about Konosuba and what can be put together with the Banana Romance aspect is the character dynamics.
Hmm,
Because a great romance with Konosuba level of comedy, which is based upon the character connections, could work.
it could work, in all honesty. It would be really funny, actually. Like, the jokes in Konosuba are very, very, how do you say it, Nikolai?
They make you crack up.
Yeah. And for another example, I have Psyche K, which makes me laugh because the jokes are so dry, they are actually funny. Have you watched Psyche K too?
Yes, but not everything.
Yeah, me neither, but from what I've seen, it's really funny and it's so dry that it's funny. You know what I mean?
Yes. I know I've watched the first season.
Yes, me too. And it's really funny actually, because it's so dry, the humor is very dry. It makes me laugh.
It has definitely a unique sense of humor, which is nice.
Mm. So those two combined together would be would be like a, a love stroke for an eternity. Something like this. And I actually love anime that don't take each other serious.
Yes, I also love parodies.
Yep. So onto the next category is soundtracks and hype factors. And for me, I don't like the show, but this show has some pretty good OSTs and soundtracks. And I have to say, it's Bleach.
Yes. Have you watched Bleach?
No, but I know the OSTs, I know some soundtracks from Bleach because they are iconic. So, yeah,
Yes, the Espada and Hueco Mundo themes. The
yes.
Spanish ones.
Hmm. And also number one, I think
Yes.
it's Ichigo's theme, right?
Yes.
It's a banger. Yeah, Bleach has some pretty good soundtracks, I have to admit, actually.
You need to watch it someday.
Yeah, I have to someday.
You just don't like it because of one of your friends who hated Gear 5.
Hmm.
If you get through mid beginning of Bleach, you will like it.
Yeah, maybe.
Cause Bleach is kind of a father of modern shonen in some ways.
Yeah.
Because this Bleach is one of the oldest shonen who does the thing. We don't have a good plot basically. We have just hype fights. And the coolest thing about our show is the hype organization with captains, Hashira, and what so on.
Hmm.
It has Bleach with captains from the Soul Society. I think most
Yeah,
modern shonen copy that from Bleach, kinda.
I've heard that Eisen is pretty cool.
Yes.
So another show that has some pretty good OSTs and soundtracks is Fairy Tail, actually. I'm not that big of a Fairy Tail fan. It's solid, but the soundtracks are booming.
The emotional tracks of Fairy Tail are bangers.
Mm. Fairy Lore is great too.
Yes.
Yeah, so with the soundtracks of those two shows, uh, the show would be booming in a fight scene or something.
Solid choices.
Hmm. Just imagine a fight and then something like number one plays and you feel hyped. It's amazing. You know it will be good because you hear the soundtrack, so
We at least get hype to see what will happen.
yeah. Okay, and on to the last category that I really need for this anime is the animations and art style. And we both know which anime is gonna take it.
Yes, or at least which studio.
Yes, I actually have two shows of this studio. Number one is
Studio
definitely
Dean, obviously.
number one is definitely Demon Slayer.
Yes.
I don't have any more to add than uh, season 1, episode 19. Yes, and the other show will be very surprising for you because it's Fate.
It's not that surprising.
Yeah, but
I think I've actually watched more Fate than you. So
I haven't watched Fate, so I just know some pretty big fights. But the animation in these fights were hella clean.
yes. I watched the series and the movie, so I nearly watched everything of Fate.
Hmm. Yeah, but the animations of those fights that I've watched were hella sick, and I was very surprised.
I'm surprised that you have not watched Fate.
Yeah, it's too complicated for me. The watch order.
It's not complicated.
It
People are saying that
is.
there's a watch and it are dumb.
Nah, the Fate watching order is very complicated. I've watched the Gigak video and then I was like, bro, my mind is
It's
fucked.
it's bullshit.
Nah,
Just start with zero and watch Unlimited Blade work. Because those two are connected. That's it.
nah, you have to watch something before that and then after
I've
that.
also watched the Gigak video. I had a fine experience without all of that crap.
But I want to watch like the exact watching order.
Yes, but it's dumb.
But it's too
It's it's
complicated.
it's like Star Wars. Do you start with the old trilogy or the new trilogy because of the order? Just start with what came out first, then continue. Easy.
Uh, I haven't watched Monogatari in a specific order, so maybe I
See?
will.
Easy
Yeah.
collab.
Yeah, that's it for the genres that I want to include. So let's move on to the characters that I want to. So let's move on to the characters. And a good show needs a great villain. And for me, a great villain would be Dio, the Dio personality, because he never gives up. He always um, almost dies, and he finds a way to survive in those moments, and that's pretty solid.
I think Dio is mid as a villain.
I mean, the personality is great from him.
Yes, he's iconic, but I don't think he's good as a villain.
I mean, he is smart. He has a good um, personality. Yes. With a mixture of Makima too, because Makima is a great villain.
Yes,
As you said,
we can agree on that.
she controls everything, or she wants to control everything. Something like this is a great villain who wants to control the main character. And I also put down Eren because he has an iron will. He always tries to help his friends, to never get bullied by the Marleyans and stuff. Yes, he fights to protect his what he loves, and this is quite honorable.
With that point, that's always a question I wanted to ask you. Is relatability an important thing for you when you have a villain?
Definitely, because if the villain is just on a
Evil for
blood
being evil.
on a bloodlust, then or because no reason, then I'm like, kind of boring villain. But if he has some great flashbacks and some good explanation behind it, then definitely reasonable.
Yes, I tend to also like reasonable villains quite more.
Mm,
But an unpredictable force of nature villain is really good if it's executed good. If it's executed bad, then it sucks.
yes, definitely. So a mix between those three would be for me a great villain in this show. So for my protagonist, I will go with the Luffy personality. He also fights to protect his straw hats and also the villagers on the island that he protects.
Yes, but
He's
only if he likes them. He has
mm,
a strange sense of justice.
yes, he does. If they give him food, he protects them basically.
Yes.
But he's strong and he always tries to find a way, which is a good protect personality trait. And I also got a character that you don't like, the same as you, the Gojo Satoru.
I mean, I like
Yes.
Gojo because he became fraud. Don't like Gojo because he became fraudulent. In the beginning, he was a good character.
Mm. I mean, what was this arc? Was it his backstory when he fought against Toji?
Yes, the hidden inventory arc.
Yeah, and this was the point where I thought like, nah, he's kinda meh now.
I didn't mind his backstory.
I
I
mean,
think how they handled him after Shibuya was meh.
yeah, but in this In this backstory, he was like, ah, okay, he got stabbed and then somehow he survived and then got OP. It's
Oh, you mean that? Yes. But he got also some nice character development in the arc. That's what I like.
mm, yeah, true. So yeah, he's definitely a strong character, and you need a strong protagonist who always learns something and gets stronger over the time. So yeah.
If you want to have cool fights, your protagonist needs to be able to fight.
Mm. And then I've put down Ludi from Mushoku because you need some questionable character traits, like wanting to see some boobas like Denji or worship and Panty. Yeah, and a mixture of those three would make a great protect for me.
I think the problem with those traits is if you are just randomly being misogynistic, that's bad. But if it's like, for example, Denji, where you can understand it and think about yourself, okay, I understand why he's so because he's lonely, has never seen basically a woman in his life, he has not gotten any education, doesn't know what's right or wrong,
Mm.
then it's good. But we don't need the classical anime groper like Meliodas and stuff, for example.
And we also want some comedies, so Ludi would be a great choice, actually.
Yes. Like you admitted in the blind ranking that the fan service comedy was your favorite. I remember that.
It was a mistake. No, I
An
hadn't
honest
any
mistake.
other options.
Yes, yes. It's a good excuse.
And for a deuteragonist, I have the strength of Yuno from Black Clover, because Yuno is one of the strongest in Black Clover, in my opinion. Or is it you have more insight than me? Is he really that strong?
Yes, he becomes really strong in the latest arc.
So yeah,
But I don't think he is that stronger than, for example, most of the captains.
and he also has this rivalry with Asta, and I want to have those rivalry with my main protagonist because it makes both characters stronger.
Yes, they're pushing themselves to one up each other.
Mm,
I also like about Juno that he's actually respectful towards his rival.
yes.
A rare sight.
Definitely. So for the next character I've got is Caesar from JoJo's Part 2.
I thought you meant Caesar Clown. Kappa.
Caesar is a very good supporting rival, and you need some support in your rival. So yeah, this is one thing that my rival should have.
Yes. Plus, what I also like about Caesar is that you have characters who are good in the story, play an important part in the story, and
Mm,
leave the story with an emotional moment.
yes.
Like you mentioned before when you were talking about the death, and death.
Mm. So for the last character trait that I have is Zenitsu. You need someone like him.
No, you don't need that bullshit.
Yes, you need something like him. Like
Trash.
this scaredy cat who is actually really strong but doesn't notice it.
Boring character type.
Nah.
You always know what's going to happen. There's no suspense.
Yes, maybe true, but you still need something like this as a character type. for your main character to shine more. And they also have some pretty funny conversations and stuff. So I put him for the conversations and stuff, mostly. Yeah. So that's about it. This is my show that I crafted. How do you like it? Would you watch it, Nikolai?
Before I give my opinion, have you thought about any, not let's say plot specifics or setting specifics?
Mm,
For example, is your show, does it play in modern Tokyo, or is it kind of historical setting, a fantastical world?
it's definitely a fantasy world because, yeah, you need to build something. It's not the real world, it's a fantasy world. And yeah, yeah, I don't know how to. It's very hard to be creative for me.
Yes,
Um,
I mean, it sounds like a solid shonen show, and I tend to like shonen. So even though seinen are nowadays my favorite, a good shonen is still always watchable or readable.
hmm. Okay, that's it for my part. And you have one show too.
Yes, I've prepared one extra show.
Yes.
Pause. So for my second show, it is historical Yakuza romance. Inspiration
Hmm.
for the setting is Yakuza Fiance. I think you only watched the episode that you watched with me, right? That you did
Hmm.
not watch further. But no problem. But unlike in Yakuza Fiance, it is a Romeo and Juliet setting. So we need two Yakuza clans who rival each other. And the two main characters are from one clan each and have a secret relationship. I would like to have a historical setting because I like historical settings. And it should be like 100, 150 years ago. So definitely industrialized and a bit globalized, but not like today with the internet and with all of the skyscrapers and whatsoever.
Hmm. Okay.
So why do I want a historical setting besides that I'm a history buff? I really enjoy the tra- architecture of traditional Japan, and I want that represented in my show. And to achieve this, I need Kaori Mori's artwork from A Bright Story, a show which I talked about in the recap episode. Because this person she has a great eye for detail, attention for detail, and I would want to have her attention for detail for this Japanese, classical Japanese setting. In terms of fights, there are multiple artworks. Boichi's artwork from Sunken Rock is perfect, but Sunken Rock is used for another thing later. Unfortunate. An alternative is from a manhwa that I think you don't know. It's the Breaker New Waves. It's a martial arts manhwa.
Nope, I know. I don't know this.
It's really good. You really like it. It has insane action. But the Breaker will be used later as well. So I've gone with a show that you know. Sakamoto Days.
Hmm.
Also great artwork. I also try to use panel that you either don't know or that don't spoil you anything. So
Okay.
that because you are currently watching it.
Hmm.
For the next point is atmosphere and brutality. If you are going to have martial arts fights, then you need some brutality because you need to feel the impact of the punches. And if
Hmm.
there are swords, you need to see the cuts. So there needs to be some brutality.
Yes.
Also in Yakuza settings, when someone is getting captured, torture is also important. And if you have if some businesses needs to be managed and this business has to do stuff with 80 plus stuff, then it also needs to be depicted in the story.
Hmm.
And For the atmosphere, I would like to have a city like Kyoto, which is, like I said before, kind of traditional with
Yes.
shrines and religions. You were in Kyoto, right?
Nope.
No, I thought you were in Kyoto on your trip to
Nope.
Japan. Then that was a misinformation. Well, then. But why I want Kyoto as a setting also is because tradition should be an important part in the story. You have a struggle of being a traditionalist and against being a new open and being new open and open for things.
Mm.
That should also be the main focus of one of the main characters. And obviously, leading a Yakuza clan should be an important plot point. Now, for the characters. If you have a romance, then the characters are really important.
Mm.
And the main female lead should be good looking, muscular, talented fighter, and the heir of the head of a Yakuza family. And like I said before, he should have a very strict and traditional education. And he values standing up for his people and justice, like Ken Kitano from Sunken Rock. He is great fighter, kinda good looking. He's a buff Senku with insane muscles. And he is from a mindset like a classical shonen protagonist who fights for his people. And his struggle is that he wants to be open minded for new things, but his education is against that.
Mm.
Plus, he wants also to find true love instead of getting a arranged political marriage. So, Roman's connoisseur. The next character is the main female lead. She, well, needs to be good looking, obviously,
Mm.
quite important. And because we have a Yakuza setting, she also needs to be able to fight. Because if both from my main leads want to be on the same playing field, they need to be talented fighters. And her struggle is also against the traditional role of a woman, because she leads a Yakuza business, but obviously she's a woman in a historical
Mm.
setting. There are quite some problems with that because in history women did not have that many rights as today.
Mm.
And she should be smart, calculated, elegant, and have a lot of dignity. That's an important word. There I used a character from The Breaker New Waves. It's Sarah. You can see a picture in the background. Nice. Let's say it like that. And why is she the head of a Yakuza family? Well, her father got married, and she takes over for now and wants to get revenge for her father's death. And with that, her family rises in power, and she tries to stay at her position of power because she's good at what she does at leading the family. But she's a woman, so maybe it will work, maybe not. What other characters are needed in a story like this? You need a legendary assassin. A good example is the Fable, or like Sakamoto from a manga from anime that you are still watching, right?
Mm.
And this main character needs to hunt down one of our two main characters at a time. So this will be a very suspenseful arc. And because my story is about a conspiracy theory, why the father of the main female lead was murdered, we need to have plot twists. And the best
Mm.
plot twist in anime manga has, for me, the manga killer inside. I was shocked and baffled at some of the plot twists that were happening there. Plus, it's also a kind of Yakuza crime setting, so would fit. Then we need a mentor. I think Yami could be a great mentor that fits this role. He's funny, he's kind of rough, has good values, and he's smoking, drinking, and gambling, which is also quite fitting for a Yakuza setting when you have a casino, for example. And the last thing is a badass grandpa who could be the mentor of the mentor. I mean, you know some badass anime grandpas. You
Mm,
see the grandpa of Sakamoto who have prepared the picture. Garb, white beard, really, all of the old persons in One Piece.
mm,
And for the plot, as highlighted before, it's for the main female lead, it's a revenge plot in the beginning, and main the main male lead needs to discover the conspiracy. And while they are following both their plot lines, they meet and start working together. And then they are kinda falling for each other. And then the story goes on from there. And they need to find out the conspiracy and need to stop a gang war from happening. That's it for this show. Would you be interested, or is it not for you?
this is not my type of show, actually. It
Happens.
sounds interesting, but yeah, as you know, I don't really like Yakuza Fiance, and yeah,
In
the
general, you're not
Yakuza.
watching as much crime or delinquent
Hmm,
stuff as me.
yeah,
Happens.
yes, that's why I wouldn't watch this. But it sounds interesting, actually.
That's at least something. Then, do you have anything else to add, or is it the end of the episode?
I think we can end this episode.
Nice.
Another short episode, but a very fun one, actually.
Yes. It was, I think, our most creative episode.
It was, actually. It was very hard to pick out those categories and stuff.
Yes.
Yes, for next episode, we, you know what day will be in a week.
We first need to say that the episode will not come out like always on Sunday, but
Hmm,
at another date.
yes,
Which date is it?
it's the 14th of February.
Yes. And what's on that date?
It's the Valentine's Day, a day which celebrates couple beings,
So we are
which
making
I'm,
the action episode, right? Kappa.
yeah. So this time the romance anime will air on the most romantic day in the year.
Yes. A Roman special will be done.
Yes. We hope you tune in the next episode.
Yes. And have and I hope you had fun with this episode and will have fun with the next episode.
So see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.